Nashua High School North Lecture Hall. It's Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 at 7 p.m. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Dowd. Oh,
Here, present.
gee, that was really loud. Alderman Wilshire. Here. Alderwoman Clee. Oh, I'm like reading. I know she's not here. Alderwoman Timmons.
Here.
Alderman Sullivan.
Here.
Miss Raymond.
Here.
Miss Lampier is not here. Miss Bishop is here. Miss Gilio.
Here.
Mr. Claffey.
Here.
Did we turn on the recording?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
I'm on it.
Okay, we have a quorum. Would the clerk please read the prayer, and would Alderman Sullivan lead us in the pledge?
Almighty God, we have the high honor and serious duty to manage the educational affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all of our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lampier showed up. 7:02. Okay. Prayer, allegiance. Minutes of May 25th, 2023 meeting. Unless there's an objection, I'd like to waive the reading and place them on file.
So move.
Okay. Remarks by chairman. Just you'll find out tonight that school is out and Harvey is moving in force in many of our schools. The other thing I would just like to say, I feel kind of bad for the people who lost their lives in that submersible. Having been on submarines, I know the threat is always there, and I know for a fact from my experience that when something happened down there, it was instantaneous. At that 12,000 plus feet, the sea pressure is immense. Okay, remarks by school administration. Sean, did you want to do something now or later?
I'll just note that there is an addition to the agenda that has to do with security systems at Birch Hill, Main Dunstable. I put a copy of it in front of all of you, so we'll talk about that later.
All right, so now we'll have discussion on status. First will be the architect's report from Harriman. Jamie?
Good evening, Jamie Willett with Harriman. I did pass around a memo, just kind of highlighting kind of some of the design aspects going on for each of the schools tonight. We'll start with Brian S. McCarthy Middle School. We continue to review submittals and RFIs as they come in. We're kind of on the slower side for that particular project because we've kind of gotten past most of that, and Harvey's moving right along with those. So, but the one big design item there that well, there's two, but one of them is the furniture design continues to make progress. Harriman and Nashua school representatives met on June 8th to review the special education spaces. We did actually a tour of the school and kind of walk through those spaces again, just to kind of remind ourselves what those spaces are and how they operate. And then after that meeting, we sat down and talked about furniture and kind of talked about specifics about any unique furniture or requirements that were needed for any of the populations in those aspects. So that was positive. A lot of the answers on what was needed specifically, or comments about the stuff that was being proposed, was brought back to the school district, and we're having a follow-up meeting sometime in July. We're trying to schedule that right now to kind of bring that answer back and then finalize our furniture package. I'm thinking right now it's looking like August that the furniture package should be ready. We really need this next meeting to kind of close up not only the special education pieces, but also kind of the unified arts area. We have a couple rooms in the unified arts we want to finalize, and then go over kind of those last aspects of making sure that we have all the pieces and parts that the school is going to need. The other element that we continue to make progress on is the trash compactor and dumpster recycling area. The original design just had, I think we talked about this several times, but just had a dumpster area location, and there's been a decision by the school district to probably bring the trash compactor from Elm Street over to this school. So we're working on finalizing that into the design, and then it will issue that to Harvey for them to look at for pricing. Over at Pennachuck Middle School, I really have no new design matters to report or discuss. I think that's pretty close to all completion. I know there's some few punch list items that Harvey continues to work on. I'm sure they'll touch on that tonight. At Birch Hill and Maine Dunstable, we did receive the final pieces of the state fire marshal permitting. I think we probably reported that we had the state fire marshal permits at maybe one of the last meetings, but there was a piece that they excluded for some reason, but that has since gone through the system and has been approved. So that project should be ready to go, or it is going. So that's good news. And then we're very active in the submittal shop drawing review portion right now. They're coming in very fast and furious. I can't even keep up, but I'm trying my best. And Harvey's kind of letting me know which pieces are really the most critical to keep them going, and so we're targeting those. And then at 55 Franklin Street, there was a request to add the kitchen space in there, and so that was in the city for permitting. We have since seen the permit back from the city. They modified the existing permit to include the kitchen, so that was good news. So that work could undergo this summer. And then with the additional request from the school district on some modifications to the site, we are coordinating that those potential changes with the city planning department right now. So it looks like that is kind of really minor in nature, so they're likely to approve it administratively, but that is still in the works to make sure that that's official. So
That's official.
and that's all I have tonight. Any questions?
Questions for the architect? Seeing none. Construction manager's report. Harvey, Ken?
Thank you. Ken Lemarier, project manager, Harvey Construction, and to the right of me is Kathy Misko, senior project manager with Harvey. We're going to take you through some updates on the various projects that are going on across the city, and then Kathy's got one financial item for 55 Franklin Street, and then I have the remaining 3 bid packages for Birch Hill, Maine Dunstable. So should be short and sweet from Harvey tonight. So moving on, start off at Pennachuck Middle School. So Jamie mentioned earlier that we do have a couple of minor punch list items that are going to be going on now that school is out for the summer. Also next week we'll be starting the track regrading and resurfacing. So the track will be closed through, track and field will be closed through the month of July and that first week of August. So I know that we've been working with Mr. Smith and the athletic department in getting that message out to the public. I know that's a popular spot for people to walk. I'll be posting signage along the track as well as updating the electronic board at the front of the site tomorrow. So it should be well communicated to the public that that work is going on. Also starting next week, I think either Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to be starting there's a security package upgrades. We'll be installing some safety bollards, both architectural and pipe bollards throughout the site for some safety features that were approved in a previous JSSBC meeting. And then other than that, we're just wrapping up some touch-up paint inside now that the students aren't there. And then we should be wrapping up in August as the track is finished over at Pennachuck. Any questions on Pennachuck?
Any questions on Pennachuck? No? Okay.
All right, moving over to the big boy. So we got an updated aerial shot from a few weeks ago over at McCarthy. So you can kind of gives you a good view of how things are shaping up over there. The track has since been paved and the seeding has taken place. So if you've been to the site, in the last week or so. The grass is already starting to come in, so we'll be maintaining that over this growing season and as well as next growing season. So we're pretty happy with how things are shaping up out there as well.
Almost ready to cut.
Yeah, it is. Moving over here, so we have since this photo was taken, we've gotten both the softball and baseball field infield mixes down, and the seating has been placed and irrigation is ongoing. So no grass there yet, but should be coming in within the next couple of weeks or so. And then we've got the new basketball court, new playground area in this between building C and B. And then you can see obviously the new D'Antonio Drive and then Medallion Court and Cherrywood right here. So kind of gives you the lay of the land. New main entrance right here at Building A.
On the basketball court, we're gonna put the posts in, but no basketball backboards or hoops because we don't want anybody playing basketball yet.
So that's it for the, I guess, the non-building components of the project. The framing and the sheathing for all the buildings is complete. We're weather tight above, so all the roof is complete and all of the overflow drains from the roof have been completed and tied in. All of the AVB has been completed for academic buildings C and B, and it's ongoing in building D and building A. So building A will be the last building that's completed. Buildings C, B, and D will be complete substantially inside and out by the end of 2024, December 2023.
Not to
No,
say.
no panic. So in buildings C, B, and D, I guess all of the finishes are at are basically some level of finishes going on every floor. Building C is the furthest along, where we've got basically a completed floor on the lower level on the first floor, and then we'll be working our way through building B and building D. So any questions on buildings C, B, and D? I'll show you some photos as we get through it here. I guess the upper left corner here, this is kind of a neat architectural feature as you move from the student commons into, I guess, more of the classroom area of the wing. The wood rulon paneling, it's a nice feature going into the student section, classroom section near the mechanical room. So it's a similar layout on every floor. Here's a good view of Area C exterior. These are the concrete architectural panels. This whole elevation has been completed, so we've got a kind of a solid gray color here and then more of a pattern here. We've got a typical science classroom that's substantially complete. We have not flooded the ceilings yet. We have been working with Harriman on doing above ceiling inspections and working with the city as well. So when I say flood the ceilings, I mean we make sure that everything above the ceiling is per specifications and code, and then once we get sign off from all the local code officials and Harriman, then we can put the ceiling tiles in. And then here is the other side of Building C, the south elevation. It's got more of the brick and the mechanical rooms, and then more of the ACM panels that'll be going in. Moving into Area A, so it's kind of the unified arts, admin, kitchen area, learning commons, gymnasium. So here's some, we have all the kitchen walk-in coolers have been installed and complete, so we'll be starting working on the kitchen components as soon as the walls are completed in there and the rough-in is complete. All the framing is moving along nicely. Masonry walls have been completed in the gymnasium, so about here, we're about halfway up there, but now they're complete as of today. And mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection is ongoing over the next month or two. So as a view of the gymnasium, this is standing on the second level of Area A, looking down into the cafeteria. This is the new learning commons here. This is the view of the new front entry. This is the Building A. And then this is standing in the gymnasium. Questions?
Questions? Yes, Mrs. Raymond.
Thank you. Back on the aerial shot, Between Building C and, I think that's Medallion, when will the plantings be going in then? Like I know there's going to be some trees and some native bushes and
I
whatnot.
believe we're going to be doing a lot of the landscaping later this summer. Typically, the stuff away from the school, we might be waiting to plant that stuff closer to the building until next year, because we've got a few things to work out, kind of back of house. I know there's some changes that we're going to be making out near the kitchen area here.
Right.
Where Jamie mentioned the dumpster enclosure and compactor, and then I think we're going to be trying to make it a little easier for vehicles to service the kitchen as well. So we might be holding off on the plantings that are going along Medallion until next year. But if we can get them in this year, we certainly will.
Okay, thanks. I'm sure the neighbors would appreciate an extra growing season for that.
Yeah, there was some concerns about the sidewalk along Medallion and the grass is growing long. That portion belongs to the DPW, and they've been informed to clean it up.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I came across, and I know this isn't specific to the building, but it is specific to the area. Apparently, there is a Facebook group called the Maplewood School Project, and I just happened to catch this post today, and I wanted to read it today. It has to do with Buck Meadow Road, not the building necessarily, but I did tell the gentleman that I would mention it at tonight's meeting, and I'll just read the comment. It's pretty short. There are no plans to widen Buck Meadow Road or to install a left turn lane into the middle school driveway. Anyone who has recently driven on Buck Meadow Road near the new school will notice that morning and afternoon congestion will quickly become a serious problem, not to mention the Buck Meadow Ridge Road intersection. And then he asks people to write in, but I just wanted to bring that up. Someone did comment about installing sidewalks on Buck Meadow Road, but I figured it would be appropriate to bring that up and maybe address it.
Yes, all of those have been directed to the Department of Public Works, so that's all city property, not part of this project, but they're aware, and they're doing some things on Buck Meadow, but, by the way, the other thing that was mentioned, the 2 speed indicators are in, partially covered. I talked to the city engineer today. They may cover the whole thing until I have to put legislation in to establish a school zone, and nobody quite knows exactly how to do that, so I'm researching with everybody to figure out where the boundaries are. But it will include the 2 new solar indicators, which are pretty nice. They're hard to see all of them because part of it's covered with a bag, but they are operational.
Okay, well, thanks for letting me bring that up.
Yeah, and the sidewalk, the only sidewalk we're involved with is connecting the existing sidewalk on the west side of D'Antonio Drive in front of the Tibbetts property across to the new cement sidewalk that goes up Dan Antonio. And we have all the permissions from the Tibbetts already in place, and it's a combined effort with the DPW engineering and Severino for the contract, so it's all being handled, but we're in no rush because there's nobody walking on it at the moment.
Thank you.
Yes, Mrs. Raymond?
Thank you. So just piggybacking off of Alderman Sullivan's point, when we did Pennachuck and when we did Fairgrounds, there were traffic studies done to see how like new traffic patterns would impact, the neighborhoods. Because this one is like kind of offset with D'Antonio Drive, will DPW do a traffic study? Do we have to ask them? Like, what do we
Did do
do?
a traffic study on this school way back in the beginning,
Yep.
and it is available.
Okay.
If they want to do something to Buck Meadow Road, they will do an enhanced traffic study, but that'll all be done by DPW because that's a city street.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Sorry, one follow-up. If I were to look for that traffic study, where would I find that?
It should be in the school website under middle school.
Under the middle school projects? Okay, I'll look there, thanks. I'll include that as a follow-up, thanks.
Okay, I don't know your name, but yes, you can speak.
Thank you.
Somebody want to introduce?
Oh, yeah. I'm Dante Castellano. I'm the Nashua South Board of Ed student rep. So I just had a question going back to the aerial view. I heard, are there going to be solar panels at this school? Or
Absolutely.
there are? Okay.
The entire roof,
Oh, that's great. All right, that's what I was wondering. Thanks.
but not until we're done. Long story.
Good question, so.
Yeah.
that's why we asked.
Any other questions on the McCarthy School? All right, Ken?
I guess the only other transportation-related item, it's tough to see from this photo, but we are working with the district and Harriman. We did some layout today. We're going to be adding a steel guardrail to the other side of this new D'Antonio Drive. We have it on this side of the road, but we're going to be probably adding some additional
It's
protection
just the
there.
Nats corner because it's a 60, 70-foot drop. And we've been working with the two Sams. Again, we have one and Harriman has one. But Ken's got pictures of where we're putting the guardrails, if anybody wants to see it after the meeting. But it's a safety item and it's critically important. I don't want a bus going off down 70 feet and get stopped by a tree.
True.
So,
Any questions on McCarthy before we move to Franklin Street?
Kathy,
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
there's one school that's full of people now.
I have 10 weeks left. So last meeting, we talked about kind of some before and after pictures. So I went digging through some 2-year-old pictures just to kind of show the classroom on the left side, you know, a darker floor. You can see the second picture has brighter walls where we've painted new ceilings, and mechanical work was part of EEI scope, but you can see in the picture the classrooms are brighter and just nicer, nicer to look at for sure. An example of the corridor, that old ceramic tile that had been in there versus what we have now. Again, new flooring, painting the walls. You can see new lighting in that picture pretty well down the corridor actually as well. So it's been quite a process to go through, but I thought I would just pull up a couple of before and afters because we mentioned it. So piece by piece, it's definitely improving. So
Should have had one in the basement. That's like a dungeon to a school zone.
yeah. We put a picture of the roof up, just sort of a before picture. That's what the roof looks like now. Some of the activity we're doing in preparation for the roof replacement, which will begin in the next week or so here, is there are some pipes and abandoned vents that come through the roof. So we're trying to take those out so the new roof doesn't have the hole in it effectively, so that makes it just more efficient. So we've been working with Harriman and figuring out how exactly to do that. We have not cut open the roof on purpose because we're waiting until we start the roofing process, but we're trying to plan ahead and figure out how we can best patch these holes and also get rid of the abandoned materials. But you can see it's a pretty tight site right there. So what we have been able to do this last month relates to classrooms and just more work on the third floor. If you recall, we had done some abatement of about another third of that floor over April, so we've been able to tackle those rooms with new sheetrock on the third floor, the abuse-resistant sheetrock, and put in, there's a new door hanging. We've got some floor, which is why we've got floor protection down on top of it and doing the painting process. So we're working on that. Upcoming, right now, the next several days, we will be abating the rest of the building, which is a server room, one of the 2 stairwells, and the remainder third of the top third floor. So we're getting all of our abatement done. We will begin the elevator upgrade. There are some security upgrades. These are PCOs that you guys have already reviewed and seen and approved, so that work is getting lined up. The stairs themselves get new risers on them and new flooring. Just like the other floors, there's a bathroom group that will get renovated, some bathrooms put in, and the kitchen, of course, which is kind of the big deal. The kitchen equipment should be coming next week. So once we get away from the 4th of July holiday, we'll really be hitting it hard on the remaining classrooms and the additional upgrades that we're doing. In addition, the Site work that Jamie had mentioned that is going through the planning board will be incorporated as well. So we have a lot going on and a lot to get completed. In addition to that, I think the next slide, EEI couldn't be here tonight, but they asked me to share their plan for window replacements. So basically, they're starting on today, they were scheduled to start the demolition. Day one is not all the way on the right. It's about 4 or 5 windows in on the top slide. This would be the back where the dumpsters are. Thanks, Ken. And that's because we're abating the rooms on the right, on the upper 3rd floor. So we had to coordinate our, where they could start based on where our activities were. But they're basically going to start at one spot and then work their way around the perimeter of the building all the way back to the other end. It will take them, they've got 18 days on here, but that's, optimistic. I'm sure there'll be weather delays and other hiccups. So I'm sure it'll be 5 or 6 weeks for them to get through it all and get everything finished. But we're going to do the site improvements in coordination with them and, staying out of each other's way to get it. We have some upgrades in the front of the building, so when they're on the front side, we obviously can't be in their way and things like that. So
Kathy, were they planning on working weekends or just Monday through Friday?
as far as I know, it's Monday through Friday
Okay.
until they, unless something comes up or they get behind, I'm sure. That is about it for Franklin Street at the
Questions on
moment.
Franklin Street? Yes.
So yeah, just similar to the last one, are there going to be solar panels on this roof as well, or?
No,
No? Okay.
long story.
Okay.
Short answer, no. There's not enough roof area to justify it. Yes.
Can you go back to the aerial shot? I love these aerial shots. They make me very happy. I understand that there were a couple of trees put into the site, and there'll be some work on the playground and a half basketball court. Can you just kind of like show us where that is? I think the trees were a grant that the principal had gotten, so you might
Hold on.
not know that.
The trees were being given to.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
this is the Carl Dubois pointer.
Ooh.
He handed it to me at his last meeting, so I'll use it.
That's lovely.
I left mine in my car.
So
Is it working?
the basketball court will be in this area.
It's small, not even a
Yeah.
half.
It's a
It's
half
not-
court. Yeah, it's a half
doesn't even
court.
look that
It will take up, yes, it's small, but it will take up a fair amount of space. The donated trees are in the front corner of the building here, and I believe 2 of them have already been planted. This playground side is going to have the fence where the stair is and the sidewalk around it kind of reworked. The front is going to be cleaned up, which obviously you can't see in the picture, but to make the playground larger effectively. We're going to relocate the swing that is currently over here by the stair and put that closer to the front.
Okay.
So that will be kind of an expanded playground. The fence changes go along with all this to make the fence taller and the appropriate height. There's fence all around the basketball court. And back here, we're going to repair this ramp, which has got a pretty good sized crack in it. So, and then with whatever we can afford, we'll seed, whatever's left. There's, the playground side has a lot of that playground material that's going to be improved, or expanded. So we'll be doing that kind of work.
One thing I can tell you, when I
yeah.
looked at the finances that were allocated to this building, it's amazing the amount of work being done for that amount of money. Amazing.
Is that on the schedule for the summer as well?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, okay.
Well, and then,
August, we're out of there.
yeah, this road is also going to be repaved by DPW.
DPW, as soon as we're not using cranes and heavy trucks on it, they're ready to go in and
And the parking lots that are out here, effectively, those get repaved. There's a lot of activity around this block that's going to be done.
And when the repaving's done on Winter Street and Locust Street, they'll come back out and do the more permanent street markings.
Oh, good. So it'll be
Also
very
putting a-
obvious.
They're putting a crosswalk in just
Here,
north
maybe?
of north of Winter Street. And
And this becomes a bus pull-off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that will all happen. We want them to pave as late as possible, but before school starts, just so we can get our work completed, inside and out.
Any other questions on Franklin Street?
I have a comment. So regarding the playground, we're putting that rubberized surface in that corner, at the corner of Franklin and
Locust.
Locust. just underneath the structure, basically where the corner of the building is on the upper left-hand side to the fence, and then a right angle to the Locust Street fence. That's the same type of surface we have at the Panther Preschool and also at Broad Street, and we also will have it at McCarthy.
I'm glad to hear that because it's a much more accessibility-friendly surface than the wood chips. The wood chips are, I guess technically they're ADA compliant, but they're really not great for wheelchairs, so.
As soon as the design's baptized, if it hasn't been already, by the special ed, the one at the McCarthy School will send out a picture of the design. Has a walkway through, it's kind of neat. So, no more questions on Franklin Street. Now we'll move on to the latest endeavors that are underway. Birch Hill and Maine Dunstable.
Okay, moving over to Birch Hill Elementary and Maine Dunstable Elementary. So if most of you recall, we were able to get into Maine Dunstable over April break to do the abatement of the cafeteria floor, so that'll help us turn that over in time for school to start in the fall. So that was completed over April vacation, and over the month of May and this first part of June, we've been working on prepping the locations for the Elm Street portable classrooms. So the demolition began over there today, kind of removing the existing shrubs and taking away the skirting at the lower end of the trailers, getting all the utilities turned off, working with the district and removing all of their items as well. So we'll be going over there this Saturday to kind of prep them for the first move that will start next week at Maine Dunstable. So the first couple trailers will be going to Maine Dunstable, and then the following week will be Birch Hill. So all of the prep work has been completed. So what you're looking at here are the kind of the concrete, precast concrete foundations. Some were reused from the fairgrounds project, and some were new where required. So those have been completed at both sites. The only remaining prep work for the portable classrooms is the Birch Hill below grade water and sewer. We wanted to hold off on that because we had to cut through the parent loop. So we wanted to wait till school was complete. Summer vacation began. So that took place, started today, it'll be wrapping up tomorrow and the first part of Saturday.
Are we doing new skirting around the portables when they get to the new sites?
Yes,
Yeah, and I know we're doing the ramps.
and ramps, correct.
All right, and by the way, just a kudo to the Department of Public Works, the ones for Birch Hill, right, or the ones from Fairgrounds?
It was a mixture of both.
Okay, so they stored them for us for nothing, and they were retrieved to be used here because we knew that was coming up. And when they're done, DPW is going to take them all back, so we don't have to dispose of them.
So broad scope view for schedule for the portables. We'll be doing, kind of prepping those over the month of July and early part of August, get our final inspections and give the district a few weeks to move in and get things ready for the start of school at the end of August. So now that school is out, we are moving in, as Alderman Dowd mentioned. So today we started putting down the plywood floor protection in the gymnasiums, because if some of you may recall, we're going to be using the gymnasium areas to house swing space for temporary classrooms as we're renovating the student classroom areas. So we'll be working on that and getting that prepped and ready for the fall as well. Similar timeline to the exterior site portables.
And we're closing both school sites and fencing them in.
We're going to be, once the portable classrooms are complete, we'll take down our fencing, but other than that, we're going to be limited to strictly inside the building. But it'll be admin only, available inside the building.
Nobody can use the playground facilities or anything,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
That would be a safety issue. So at both schools, they should be somehow blocked off.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
Raymond?
Do we expect for the playgrounds, and I know that there's significant trails behind Birch Hill. I don't know about Maine Dunstable. Do we know that those will be fenced off for the whole summer?
I think they're already fenced off, aren't they, in the back?
You'll be able to use those fields this summer. We aren't going to be out there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Timmons?
Yes, just for clarification, because I have a child that always over at the playground every single day. So the trail that he goes through will be closed.
He can use the trail.
He can use the trail. Okay.
Can't use the playground.
He just can't use the playground. Hear that, Chase? Cannot use the playground.
All right.
And just moving into the renovation portion, so we'll be starting, next week, we'll be starting the demolition and abatement process in the student classroom areas, and then Kathy mentioned earlier, after the 4th of July holiday, we'll start kind of hitting it hard and moving forward. Any questions on Birch Hill, Maine, Dunstable?
So I am still working with Senator Shaheen's staff, and they're working with the Federal Department of Education on the extension of the ESSER funds, and no word yet, but I got another meeting next week. They're all aware of it, and they know they're committed, so they did a process for the ESSER 2 funds, and they're just not sure if they're just going to replicate that or what they're going to do. I know Senator Shaheen's staff's a little concerned at their lack of speed, but we'll get there. And I guess that, any other questions on any of the bright light?
Okay.
All right. So now we'll pay some invoices. All right. First thing we'll do actually is, Kathy, if you want to do the PCCOs for
Franklin Street, yes.
Franklin Street.
PCCO number 10 is up for approval this evening. It contains 2 PCOs that were approved at the last committee meeting. One was for the third floor kitchen work, and one was for some security modifications. So this is PCCO number 10 for Franklin Street, totaling $66,631.46.
All right, I need a motion to approve the PCCO number 10, which is just a sort of a paperwork thing, the amount of $66,631.46. So move. Alderman Wilshire. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Kathy?
All set for Franklin Street.
That was
Good for,
Franklin Street.
yep,
Those are
Birch
just
Hill.
the 2 PCOs. All right, Birch Hill.
So now I have the final 3 bid packages for Maine, Dunstable, Birch Hill. So it's the kind of the window dressing items. So it's going to be specialties, signage, and the window treatments. So the first package I'll do is Division 10A specialties, and that include the scope for all of this includes marker boards, all tack boards, toilet accessory install. There are certain owner furnished items that are standards throughout the district, typically soap dispensers, paper towel dispensers, and items like that. So Mr. Smith's crew will turn over those items to Harvey, and we will install those as part of this package. There are other toilet accessories that will be furnished by this contractor and installed by this contractor, grab bars, windows, etc. Mirrors. Fire protection specialties, so fire extinguishers, fire extinguisher cabinets, and any associated signage. So we'll be doing a recommendation for both Birch Hill and Maine Dunstable at the same time. So for each of these packages, we received 7 bids, and we are recommending the lowest qualified bidder for each school. So at both schools, so at Birch Hill first, we'll be recommending New England Partition and Installation, LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire, for a total value of $89,938.25. And at Maine Dunstable, it's New England Partition and Installation, LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire, for a total package value of $79,400.31.
Okay, so need a motion to approve for the scope of work on specialties at Birch Hill School to New England Partition Installation LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $89,938.25. So moved by Mrs. Raymond. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. The next package is the Division 10B signage package, and
Oh,
You
we haven't
forgot
done-
main dumpster.
I'm sorry.
One step ahead. Get that other page here.
Caught in the act.
All right, so. A lot of pages. All right, so this is signage for Birch Hill. No, did we miss, where's,
You
you don't have a
didn't,
tab for that other one.
main,
Yeah, I know.
on main dumpster.
Well, one yet.
Yeah, I know.
So it's,
They're summarized on the agenda page. That's
Yep.
probably the quickest way to access it.
New England Partition and Installation LLC for $79,400.31.
Yes.
All right,
It's like I already
I
wrote
see
it
that.
down.
looking for the page to sign.
I'll make that motion, though.
All right,
should be the third page, Mr. Dowd.
It's at the third page.
all right, so the motion on the floor is to approve.
MD, for Maine Dunstable, sorry.
Yep, for the New England Petition Installation LLC Manchester, the amount of $79,431.
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Timmons. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to signage again. Scope of work here is to furnish and install all of the building signage, interior and exterior. So we received 2 bids for each school. We all do Birch Hill first. We're recommending Sousa Signs LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire for a total value of $24,214.00.
All right, I'll need a motion to recommend the signage for Birch Hill Elementary School to Sousa Signs LLC of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $24,214.
So moved.
By Mr. Gilio. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And for Maine Dunstable, we are recommending Welch Sign, who was the other bidder, of Scarborough, Maine, for $24,691.50.
That's- Okay, just a second. Oh, you have the second ones in this book.
Right there.
No, this is not a signage page. This is the one we just did.
That's, Sousa was, you just had it.
Well, Sousa was the,
That's the one we just did, right?
Yeah.
Sousa's the one.
This is for the Welch sign of Scarborough,
Yeah, it's Maine Dunstable.
for Maine Dunstable.
I know, but I'm not seeing a signage page, Ken. I understand it's on here, but it's, next thing I have is window treatments.
That is true.
So I'll accept the motion to approve the signage for Maine Dunstable Elementary School, but to Welch Signs, Scarborough, Maine, in the amount of $24,691.50.
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Timmons. Any questions?
I have a question.
Question?
Why we wouldn't go with the same vendor for both locations?
So we've run into this with a few different packages. So we have Sousa Signs over at McCarthy Middle School, and they'll be, we try to split up the work amongst typical vendors to make sure that we're not putting them in a tough position to be able to complete the scope in time. So try to spread out the work to make sure that we're not overloading our contractors.
I found out where they're at. You put two different tabs in here and put the schools in different tabs.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got the motions covered. All right, did you have your answer to your question?
Thank you.
All right, so I will sign those after. Now we're into window treatments.
It's the final package. This is for all of the window treatments for both schools. It's to furnish and install at all of the exterior windows and interior classroom windows. So we received 2 bids for.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure we voted on that. Main Dunstable, did we?
Yes,
We did mean Dunstable.
I heard us do Birch Hill, and that was Julio.
It was Ms. Timmons.
And then Ms. Timmons did the main Dunstable.
Okay, I did miss it. I apologize.
And I think we did, yeah, we did vote on it.
yep. All right, so back to window treatments.
Okay. So for Birch Hill, we're recommending Contract Window Fashions, lowest qualified bidder of Merrimack, New Hampshire, for a total value of $31,043.43.
I'll need a motion to approve the window treatments for the Birch Hill Elementary School to Contract Window Fashions of Merrimack, New Hampshire, in the amount of $31,043.43.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Gilio. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
And for the, for Maine Dunstable, we're also recommending Contract Window Fashions of, for a total contract value of $32,955.64.
Now that I know where it is. So I need a motion to approve the window treatments for Maine Dunstable Elementary School to Contract Window Fashions of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $32,955.64. So moved by Alderman Wilshire. Any discussion?
Is there a reason one's out of Merrimack and one's out of Manchester?
They're both out of Manchester.
They're
It's a
both out of
typo.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just update my
Sorry
notes.
about that. Thank you.
That's okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
It's curtains for the letters of recommendation.
Now I'll go back to
Literally.
sign those other two that we approved.
Those are good catch,
And,
would probably be a
let's
problem
see.
later, if you hadn't caught it.
And now, Mr. Smith's going to talk to the installation of security equipment.
Yeah, actually, we did have a placeholder on the agenda, installation security.
That is the
equipment,
placeholder on the
but I did
agenda.
not send out the memo I handed out tonight. So we received the bids for this work last Thursday. It took us a few days to go through them and ensure they captured the entire scope of work. So this is for the security work at Birch Hill and Maine Dunstable. 2 bids were received. As you can see, they're very close. ENE and Allied were within less than $3,000 of each other, which is quite good for that much money. Unfortunately, we've only budgeted $100,000 for that, for this work in our contract. And we originally had placed the entire scope of work in EEI's realm, which you might recall at the beginning of the project, we had to do a lot of cutting, and that's something that fell out of EEI's work. There's also with ESSER funding, and so we couldn't go over a certain amount with that. So again, we have $100,000. We do have $741,000 in contingency, but we're so early in the project. We still have 2 years to go, 2.5 years almost. So I would not recommend we touch that at this point. We are comfortable with $100,000 at least getting us through the summer's work and the beginning of school and potentially through most of the next phase, the classroom phase of the work. And then we have to see what happens after that. I've spoken to a couple of the sources potentially. There's a new security grant that the state has issued. The bids, not the bids, but the proposals are due in August for that. I've put a bug in Mr. Donovan's ear about year-end surplus funds potentially be put towards this. Those are the two main things. I mean, I could always hope for another bond to pay for the roof, and then we include this with that too. So there's various potential things that could happen. My recommendation is that we award the contract to E&E in the amount of $100,000 for security work, and we will work with them to make sure that they stay on their $100,000 and complete everything that's necessary for the school to be safe when it opens in
Okay, so,
September.
all said?
I'm done.
I'll need a motion for approval of a not to exceed $100,000 for the security work this summer at Maine, Dunstable, and Birch Hill, and award it to E&E. So,
Okay.
question?
I will make the motion for the purposes of, because I have questions and reservations. So I'll make the motion, but only so we can discuss
right.
it.
So Ms. Raymond made the motion. Ms. Raymond, discussion.
So is this for ongoing security to protect the safety and well-being of our students in the building? Or is this security for the construction process?
Students and staff.
Okay, so I have some significant, I'm having a visceral emotional response to the idea of cutting what's recommended for security for our youngest students by 2/3 and only spending 1/3 of what is recommended. Like, the mom in me feels like this is not a place where I have a comfort cutting it down so much.
We're not cutting it. We're just doing this so we can get this installed for the portables this summer. We are going to do the rest of it
Okay.
because it is security. We have we're looking at different things, but there are existing cameras on the outside of both schools. They're old, and we're going to replace them with the high definition cameras. So we are just wanted to allocate what we need to do to protect the portables right now, and we will be replacing the others as we go.
So a vote for this today is voting to create security for the portables and continue with the existing security for the main buildings without getting into what the security is because of confidentiality issues. And then we will bring it up again.
We'll be back to get a recommendation for the the remainder of the security.
Okay.
It's just that we need to get this work done when we're working with the portables so it can get all done at the same time.
Right, I don't want the portables to go out there without security. That's a worse option, but
Yeah.
So this sounds like we're doing it in phases and anticipating to be done with the whole security system phase in the 2 years that you're saying on the memo? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sounds smart.
All right, any other questions, concerns? Being none, all in favor, signify.
I have a question. Sorry.
Alderman Sullivan.
Sorry, it hit me at the last second. So, off of your question, phase one, 100,000 for the portables. Phase two, the balance, 182,000 and change for the rest of the school.
Right.
Timing on that?
Well, we just don't have to do it now because the rest of the school is covered, but the portables were never there, so they're not covered. So we want to get that work done this summer. And then we'll be back with a balance of the cameras so that we know what's going in, where it's going in, and just replacing the existing cameras that are already there. The school's already covered the rest of the outside, but we're going to replace the old cameras with new cameras. But we don't have to do that right now.
When, ballpark, phase two of that project, when is that? 18 months?
July?
Yeah, so the first classroom phase ends in February, correct? And then the next phase, probably the end of the next summer?
Correct. In through to 2025 is the final phase, so.
Yeah, we're going to be doing it in conjunction with the phasing, so we're not tearing things up ahead of time, and
Okay.
only want to tear things up one at a time.
If I could, the 100,000 does more than the portables. It does the portables. That's something we have to have done this summer before the kids come back, from the end of the back to school. It also does some work in the buildings, for example, where we're going from the main building out to the portables. We have to put in card swipes for the teachers, some additional cameras, that sort of thing. So there's some work that's going to be on the building itself. That's still not going to use up all this $100,000. Some of it will go into that first phase of work.
Yes, we just want to do this efficiently and effectively. Spend the money wisely, because there's not a lot of extra money on this project.
Thank you. I'm reassured. I was just, when I read the memo, my immediate reaction was, we can't spend 1/3 of what we need for security, but it sounds like this is a step-by-step plan, and so step one, get the portables and the access to and from the building secure for students and teachers using that, and then step two is, as we move through the project, make sure that the entire project is upgraded before the renovation is complete.
Right.
Okay, I can live with that.
We're never going to scrimp on security.
Good.
Never.
Good. Like my heart stopped. I have to be honest.
So. Any other questions? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Takes care of that one. And now invoices. Mr. Smith.
Okay, so we have invoices from Amazon, one for each of the two schools, for totaling $183.96. We have two invoices from EEI, Birch Hill, Maine Dunstable, totaling $664,626.23. We have 5 invoices for Harriman, work at Pennachuck Middle School, McCarthy Middle School, Franklin Street, Birch Hill, and Maine Dunstable, totaling $58,459.35. 5 invoices from Harvey for work at those same 5 locations, totaling $5,819,450.50. 1 invoice from Hayner Swanson, our surveying company, for work at McCarthy Middle School, $862.50. Two invoices from Home Depot for Birch Hill, Maine Dunstable, totaling $1,025. Next invoice, John Turner, our testing agency, for work at Brian McCarthy Middle School, $5,965. Page Street Rentals for a rental ground storage unit at Birch Hill, $105. Pazik for basically the locks, classroom locks at McCarthy Middle School, $29,897.43. Have 3 invoices from RPF Environmental. They are industrial hygienist. Work at Birch Hill, Maine Dunstable, $5,820. And finally, an invoice from School Furnishings for the furniture at Pennachuck, $427,869.79. Totals for each school: Franklin Street, $172,483.67. For the middle schools, $5,730,063.59. For Birch Hill and Maine Dunstable, $1,111,717.50. And there are no invoices for security vegetables this month. All those total, $7,014,264.76.
So I'll need a motion to approve the invoices for the Franklin Street invoices, the amount of $172,483.67. The middle school project invoices, the amount of $5,730,063.59. The Birch Hill, Maine Dunstable invoices, $1,111,717.50. And none for the security vegetables, for a total amount of invoices for $7,014,264.76.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Lapierre. Okay, any discussion on the invoices?
I just had one. I usually tell you what the companies are and why we're buying, who we're buying from them. So Home Depot and Amazon were for boxes and tape, so that the staff could box up their books and all their stuff to go to storage.
And it's like a Congo with all the moving around. All right. And so we had the motion. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right. So, I just had one, see what I did with it. Oh, I know what I did with it. Just for informational purposes, we are now managing, including the security vestibules, which haven't started yet, $166,410,450 by this committee. Just FYI.
Thanks a lot.
Comments by committee members? Yes.
And thank
Alderman
you.
Timmons.
I'd just like to wish all the kids out there, all the students, a safe summer and have fun.
All right. Anyone else? Seeing none. We were down to the McCarthy School today, and those pictures are old compared to every day that gets work on it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, George told me they have between 150 and 200 people there every single day. That's a lot of people in that building, and Sean and I walked through it today, and there's a lot of work going on in the cafeteria and the gymnasium right now, and all the flooring has just arrived, so the flooring will be going in quickly. The elevators are all in, but well guarded, they're not being used. Till they have to be. All those workers can walk up the stairs. Okay, we don't need a non-public. Do I have a motion? Motion to adjourn. Alderman Wiltshire, motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 8:02.